All right, look. So before we get into this, it's important for you to know that I am a huge proponent of gold and silver. I love both of them, and I think diversity is 100% key. But I think there is a big flaw in the precious metals community, and that's picking sides when it comes to precious metals versus cryptocurrency. Now, I've been trying to convince people for years in the precious metals community, and really especially in the last few months, to come in with an open mind, right? Because Bitcoin and crypto are about to tear a hole in the other assets. And you don't have to like or agree with Bitcoin or crypto, but if you don't recognize what's happening and what's about to happen, you are missing out on some gigantic opportunities. And most people who on crypto just don't understand it. And let's face it, a lot of the precious metals community is often older people and they're not as up to date on technology. So, since it's not comfortable to them, they don't understand it. So they kind of poo poo it, right? And that's fine, but I need to do my job and make sure you understand what's about to happen. And truth be told, it's already happening. It's just going to get even crazier over the next few months. Now, we're about to jump in, but just a quick reminder, make sure you subscribe to our growing tag economy community. Love to have you. Sorry. So let's jump into this. So here's a list of the top assets in the world by market cap. Now, Bitcoin is number 8 at $1.43 trillion and quickly growing, and it just passed silver, which is at $1.41 trillion. And very likely by the end of 2024, Bitcoin is also going to pass Google, Amazon, Saudi Aramco, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, to soon be the number 2 asset in the world. Some people think that it's going to pass gold, but I don't think that's going to happen this cycle. Although I do see that possibly happening within a few years, and I'll touch on that shortly. But let's look at some of the monsters that Bitcoin has already passed. Obviously, silver, we just talked about, but also Facebook, Berkshire Hathaway, Visa, JP Morgan Chase. Then we have Tesla, Walmart, United Health, MasterCard, ExxonMobil, Johnson & Johnson. What's crazy is Bitcoin is more than double the size of most of these companies, and it's triple the size of some of these giants. So what's happening, right? Why is Bitcoin absolutely exploding? Well, first of all, the technology behind the blockchain is unbelievable, okay? Look, my precious metals people, understand that Bitcoin is also a fight against corrupt fiat currency and government. It offers a decentralized, distributed public ledger for everyone to see, and no one owns Bitcoin, right? It's not a company and it's not a brand. No company runs it. Unlike fiat currency, which is centralized with a non distributed ledger, totally controlled by the government and central banks. So, just based off that principle alone, it has been gaining a lot of steam for the first 15 years of its life. But something special just happened, right? The ETF was approved in January of 2024. And this did a couple of very important things for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Number one, Bitcoin got recognized as an official asset class, which brought trust, right? Number two, it makes it accessible to all the people who didn't understand either how to buy Bitcoin or they didn't want to learn how to buy Bitcoin. Now, all they simply have to do is purchase it through the ETF and they're in on the action. But I don't think people quite realize something else about the ETF that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. So make sure you bear with me. This is huge. Before I do, I want to show you what happened when the gold ETF was approved back in November of 2004, almost 20 years ago. So here's a picture from NASDAQ showing the 8-year bull run that gold went on after the ETF approval. Obviously, you can tell from the graph that gold went up a ton over those 8 years, but you may not be able to see the numbers. So what happened was gold went from about $400 an ounce in November of 2004 to about $1,800 an ounce in June of 2012. So as we saw with gold, an ETF approval is a good thing for an asset that can send it on a long bull run. But what few people realize is something bigger is happening right now, right? These Bitcoin ETFs are smashing ETF records, and I mean smashing them like Hulk smash. So listen to this, then I'm going to give you a visual to go with it, okay? The first gold ETF took 2 years to hit $10 billion. Just BlackRock's ETF did 10 billion in 7 weeks. 7 weeks. And this is just BlackRock. What? What? Do you understand that? So here is a visual for you. That light blue line is the inflow from the Bitcoin ETFs. The dark blue is gold. I mean, are you serious? Look at that differential. And let's also take a look at the inflows and outflows of gold over the past couple of months. This is pretty crazy too. On March 4th, retired venture capitalist Jeff Kurdikis shared a chart comparing the inflows of Bitcoin ETFs with the outflows of gold funds, adding that Bitcoin products have already accumulated almost half of the value of gold funds since their launch in January. So add all this together with the upcoming halving, and we have an absolute explosion for the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin space. Now, if you're unaware, the halving basically cuts the Bitcoin supply in half. There are currently about 900 Bitcoin being mined per day. Well, in April of 2024, when the halving happens, that number gets cut in half to 450 per day. Right now, before the halving, the ETFs alone are buying over 10 times more Bitcoin than is being mined. And again, that's just the ETFs. There is already a supply and demand problem. But when the halving comes, I mean, are you kidding me? Do you understand demand and supply and demand? The ETFs alone are going to be buying 20 times more Bitcoin than is being mined. And all of these numbers are with Grayscale dumping their Bitcoin because of a fee issue that we're not going to talk about in depth here. But there's actually talk that this has been resolved, and it's possible their dumping may soon stop. But regardless, I mean, even if Grayscale continues to dump their Bitcoin, we're soon going to be at a supply being 20 times higher than demand just through ETF purchases. And yes, Bitcoin just flipped silver, but it's about to flip a whole lot more. And remember, this is coming from someone who loves gold and loves silver. This is not about picking a side. This is about making sure you understand what is happening right now. The wealth transfer that is currently happening, and it's about to heat up even more, is a once in a lifetime event. And you can do what you want with that information. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and make sure you add a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Were you aware of this all? What do you think about it all? We'd love to hear your feedback. Catch you soon.